What's up, guys? That really gross guy here, and we're back, and we're going to talk about some of the new updates, which recently just came out with Warframe. Well, came out not with Warframe, but just came out in Warframe. And you can see here I'm playing as Gara, and we'll get into the details on Gara in just a little bit. A little bit of changes have been made to her. Some people are not too excited about it. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but. First off, first things first, we'll get into kind of the basic quality of life type stuff that has actually happened with this recent update. So, one of which is the focus. A little bit of a focus rework. Focus 2.5, they're calling it. And there's a little bit of changes to a couple of the abilities that are in Warframe, or in the focus system. None of which I really think are like groundbreaking or anything. If you would like to kind of check that stuff out, there will be a link to the forum post about this this whole deal in the description. But when it comes to focus, the other big deal is the fact that the capacity where your focus, every time you put a node or a focus point into a node and whatnot and you want to use it, you have to use up a certain amount of your capacity, and now your capacity is actually shared between all 5 schools in the focus system, which is pretty good. So number one, it's going to be saving you quite a bit of focus, spent focus, and number two, it's going to be a little bit better for you to just crank up your capacity real high and then not really have to worry about it. All 5 of your schools are going to be able to utilize that, and that's going to be a good thing for especially newer players that are just getting into focus and really don't want to farm. To be honest, farming is one of my least favorite things to do in Warframe, and that's part of the reason why I haven't delved into focus as much as other people have, is because it's just time consuming. So I still need to jump into it myself, and I'm just grateful that they made the farming that much easier. Now, we don't know exactly what they're going to do about the daily capacity, the daily cap that you have, that you can do focus farming with. I would like to see that get lifted. However, there are quite a few ways to absolutely grind out focus, and I understand why they want to limit people farming millions of focus in a single day. I get it. So hopefully they'll find a way that works where you can farm it without too much of an issue. I was a big fan of the way they were saying how they could make it so that if you run the same mission over and over and over and over, your actual focus farming will slow down for that mission type or whatever. I get it. I think that's reasonable. I just don't want to have to farm the same way we are now. I don't know. Something needs to change. But anyways, let's get out of the whole focus talk. It's probably my least favorite thing to talk about. Number one, because I don't know a whole lot about it, and number two, focus farming is just not fun. But anyways, secondly, which I really want to show you guys, but unfortunately I'm playing on my laptop because of an issue with my graphics card on my gaming computer. So unfortunately, the Plains of Eidolon is a little bit slow for me on my laptop. So in a few days, when my graphics card comes in and I replace it in my computer, I'll be back to the high quality, fun, usual stuff that we do. We'll jump into the Plains. We'll actually get to see the dynamic weather in the Plains of Eidolon. So we're gonna see, rain, like torrential downpour like rain that we could see in the Plains of Eidolon, as well as lightning and rolling thunder. Just the sounds and all that stuff are so good. They kind of showed it off a little bit in the last dev stream, and I think it's a really cool addition to the game. I talked about this a little bit just the other day, so I won't get into it in depth, but I'm just really excited for them kind of changing it up, making it, just every time you jump into a game, a little bit of a different experience, I guess. So anyways, after that, we could talk about, should we get on Gara? Should we jump on Gara's topic already? No, since we're already talking about the Plains, we have the possibility of incursions now occurring within the actual caves, the cave system. So you'll get like exterminates, little assassinations, and cash recoveries and all that stuff actually taking place in the Plains of Eidolon caves now. So that's pretty exciting. Kind of a little expansion on the Plains of Eidolon, and I'm excited about that because you know, just, number one, it's more content, and number two, it's more fun in the Plains. So, and then there's a little bit of extra, you know, info that goes on with, you know, the Zos being brought into the. It's just kind of quality of life stuff. So nothing really worth all that mentioning, but just little things here and there that are added in. But fishing is a big deal because now when you fish in the plains, number one, when it rains, it is going to actually make fish spawning a little bit quicker. Your fish spawns are gonna be a little bit better, which totally makes sense. And I don't mean that sarcastically. I really like fish in real life. They come to the tops of the water because they think food is falling in when it's raining. So it totally makes sense. I'm glad they did that. That's the first thing that I thought of. I was like, man, if it rains, like, they should make fish spawns easier. Sure enough, they did. So that's kind of cool. And then bait. Bait is actually shared. So if you jump in with allies, and let's say the 4 of you are fishing, or the 2 of you, whatever, are fishing, and one of you uses bait, both players will actually see the benefits of the bait itself. So that's pretty awesome. So if you want to go out there with a couple players, throw the bait out, now you all don't have to throw out bait individually. One person can do it and everybody will reap the benefits, which is awesome. It does also say that you will reap the benefits of having multiple pieces of bait out at the same time. So you could have all 4 players toss it out there just to give you that little bit extra, which is pretty cool. So it's pretty good. I'm grateful for that. But I think really there's a little bit of Volt stuff. Volt stuff is kind of just, you know, they didn't end up making Discharge, taking the damage cap or whatever off Discharge because they're still trying to tweak it because it could be insanely powerful if they just took the damage cap off. So they're working with it. So that is not implemented into the game yet. So okay, here we go. Gara. Let's just get on the topic of Gara. So you can see, especially in the gameplay of me kind of bopping around with Gara, sending out my my mass vitrify. You can see that there are sections that are now being broken and shattered and destroyed. That is because mass vitrify is no longer an invincible wall. This has kind of a health pool. However, there are multiple sections. I believe there are 12 different sections of the wall itself, and each section can be broken. Every time a section breaks, however, that section can create an AoE damage to the enemies near it when it's broken. So that's kind of cool. The reason why this is kind of controversial right now is because when it didn't have health, it was very, very, very good. This was a great defensive ability for Gara, and she could lock down portions of the map very, very easily. And I actually was a really big fan of this. Because I'm more of a solo player, this was a great ability for me to use. I was able to lock down a portion of the map, you know, maybe move around, do whatever I need to do, and get some kills, get some objectives done or whatever, while, you know, kind of crowd controlling to a degree with my mass vitrify, and I loved it. So it's a little bit unfortunate that happened. I really did like it being invincible. However, from what I've seen so far playing around with mass vitrify, it doesn't actually, it seems fairly strong. It doesn't seem like all that flimsy. So if you cast it out, it seems like it can take quite a bit of damage. Now my strength on my Gara is only 125, and I think that definitely plays into her mass vitrify strength. But I think Gara's armor also does. So you can see, for instance, what you can see right here is enemies are shooting at it, putting some rounds into it, and it's taking some damage. Now, these enemies aren't the strongest, but I have seen quite a few enemies put some damage on these, and they don't get destroyed all that quick. Now, a bombard might be able to show up and blast through your wall with a couple shots, but I don't think you're gonna see too much of an issue. I think this is actually a fairly decent ability. The other cool thing is now when a nullifier bubble, which you'll see here in just a second, now when a nullifier bubble walks up into this wall and the bubble touches it, it no longer takes down the entire mass vitrify. Now it'll actually break just that one section. So if your if your wall is up and a nullifier walks in and touches the wall, it'll knock down 1, 2, 3, whatever section it touches, it'll break, but it won't break the entire thing. So technically, that wall is still, I don't know. I think that's actually a buff. It's a buff to this ability. Unfortunately, yeah, this is considered a nerf. It is technically weaker, but I don't see it as weak as everyone thought it was going to be. Now, I do know that players, especially endgame players that are doing sorties or just trying to do endless mission types for a huge amount of time, this ability is probably going to fall off. So just keep that in mind. It can only be so good, guys. I'm sorry to say it, but it can only be so good. So I think that's where we're going to leave it. I'm not all that disappointed about the changes. It is what it is. The game's going to continue growing. Gara's still going to be really good, and she's still going to have, good builds. In fact, Mass Vitrify isn't even the most common build that Gara uses, so just keep that in mind. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Blow!